Welcome back to a very early edition of the Sharpest College Football Podcast. This is our Week 10 review. Robert, to tie a few recent and one not so recent sport event together here.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Game 7 at Toronto. Your country could not come through. Game 6 in the Stanley Cup Finals. Your country could not come through. Does Canada Athletics have a Mario problem?
Maybe. I will say we did win the Four Nations hockey thing earlier this year, too. So
very fair.
It's not an offer. And we have Olympic hockey coming up very soon now, just in February, men and women. So Canada will have a chance to strike back at the U.S., so it's not fully over yet. But no, that was, again, as a Blue Jay fan, I was technically alive the last time the Blue Jays won the World Series. I was 1 month old, so like a little asterisk there. But no, that was, I think, probably the best game of baseball I've ever watched, maybe. That was an incredible game, an absolutely incredible series.
Yeah.
You can't come closer to winning the World Series than the Blue Jays did. I don't think that's possible.
No.
That series could have been 4-1 Toronto in Game 5 if things had broken differently. Like, it's crazy because everybody just assumed the Dodgers were going to win or, like, crush it 4-1 or something, and it went down to the exact wire. And man, Yamamoto coming off of no day's rest to then get wins 2 games, like 3 of the 4 Dodgers wins came from Yamamoto. That's insane. What an insane performance by Yamamoto. But no, the Blue Jays team, no one really expected them this year. They came out of nowhere, and they almost had it this year. And again, a lot of those guys are still going to be back next year. The Rogers organization, so the Blue Jays are owned by Rogers, which is the other telecom monopoly in Canada. There's 2. There's Bell and Rogers. Bell owns TSN, which is partly owned by ESPN. Rogers owns the Blue Jays. So again, this is everybody, all American viewers are getting a crash course in Canadian monopolies here. But no, they saw that the team was very competitive, and I'm sure they earned a lot of money. For example, they actually, for the games that weren't in Toronto, for the games that were in LA, they actually sold tickets. You could go down to the Rogers Center and you could watch there, $17. Yeah. And that's that's such a good thing to. I don't live in Toronto. If I lived near the Rogers Center, I 100% would have gone to that. That would have been awesome. You go there. I'm assuming they're selling ballpark food. If not, that's a horrible business decision. But no, like, they had a great team this year. I think the Blue Jays are going to. Hopefully, I hope the Blue Jays will be competitive for several years. But honestly, I think after the end of that, it was pretty clear those were the 2 best teams in baseball. So, yeah.
Yes. Yamamoto as clutch as Matt Rule. We'll talk about that later.
Yes.
Okay. If you're new, this is our glossary. Do a screen grab of it. Save it where you keep all your college football work. And if you are not new, if you're returning, as you know by now you are, by definition, brilliant. Week 10 takeaways here. Boy, there's just an overwhelming theme. I can't even put this in the form of a question. This is a good way to catch up on everything on a broad perspective too. But I was thinking last night during Cigar Hour, as basically the last game was Utah was hitting the over. Thank you very much, Kyle Whittingham. I was just thinking this was a pretty rough weekend for a lot of Power 4 athletic directors, just based on a lot of the happenings here. Let me grab my laser pointer here. Kentucky beats Auburn. That basically has created more competition for these athletic directors that are trying to fill a role. Basically, now there's a new opening in Auburn, which broke earlier today. I also think with Arkansas, likewise, losing to a team that hadn't won in the conference for over a year now, I think that there's no way they can keep Petrino. So here's 2 more jobs that are earnestly and open in one of the 2 most moneyed conferences. Boy, Hugh Freeze, way to go out like a champion though, right?
Yeah, we'll talk a bit more about that in the firing range. But no, I actually didn't realize how big that spread was. So yeah, it did technically qualify in the firing range. But the thing is that I almost thought that given what the landscape was, I think it was very arguable to just not do that. Like, very arguable to just say, okay, we're just going to keep him for 1 more year. But, and again, I think we're going to have a deeper conversation about this. I suspect it's going to be around conference championship weekend. Because Auburn very clearly thinks of themselves as like a top 5, top 10 job in college football, and they're not. They're right there with Kentucky and Arkansas, and it's just GDP. This is not complicated. It's just Do you have the financial resources? Do you have enough donors? Arkansas has Walmart, like the Waltons live there. They have Walmart there. Memphis has FedEx. There's all these other ones have Florida, huge GDP there in Gainesville, right? Like all these ones who are able to compete, it's because they have money to spend on this stuff. And I just don't think Auburn does. You can even make the argument Alabama doesn't, but that's a bit of a different argument, but it still hits. Like for some of these SEC schools, they're just not big enough to be able to afford to do this stuff, and Auburn is right up there. And I thought they wanted him gone, but I feel like it's a miscalibration. I would have waited another year because the problem is now you are now directly competing with Florida. And if you like one of the ones on the message boards are like, oh, okay, if we get Lane Kiffin, we're going to be fine. You're not getting Lane Kiffin. Like he has zero interest in going from Ole Miss to Auburn. That's at best lateral. That's at best a lateral move. If you're going from Ole Miss, you're going to go up to a Florida or an LSU or a Penn State. If he even does, I don't know. But that's the thing where it's like you now have so much more competition just to get someone even half decent. Like we're even talking about the JMU coach. Like theoretically, that could, I don't know if he'd even be interested in Auburn. But that's the kind of pool you could have maybe gotten, but I don't even know if you can get that now, just how much competition there's going to be, right?
No.
Again, some people are saying, like, oh, Jed Fish is potentially going to Florida or something. Like, that, I'm not saying that's deliberately what's going to happen or something, but say that does happen, then if you're now, you have to think, you're not just competing with the schools that are open now, you're competing with the knock-on secondary schools that could lose a head coach, that lost a head coach to these schools that opened up now. If Washington became available, are you better than Washington? If Arizona State became available, are you better than Arizona State? I think for a lot of these, you're not. And I think it's a miscalibration by the Auburn fan base.
Yeah, I agree. I will say that I think you can definitely recruit a higher caliber recruiting class at Alabama or at Auburn than at Ole Miss, but you have all the nonsense of Auburn that comes with it. I'm just looking up here right now something I retweeted about a few minutes ago. Auburn has this is so great. You say they can't afford it, yet it's their lifestyle at the same time, Robert. Gus Malzahn, $21 million buyout. Brian Harsin, $15 million buyout. Hugh Freeze, $16 million buyout. I would say they need to fire the athletic director, but it's hard to fire 43 people who will think they're the athletic director and kind of make decisions there, so good luck with that.
What's the athletic director's buyout?
I don't know. I mean, it's the real one or the one of the 43 that kind of makes decisions.
I mean, the real one. If he wrote those contracts, he probably got himself at least $5 million.
Yeah, true. It's going to be. Speaking of which, the LSU AD did have a buyout too. Of course, he did.
Yes, by the governor of Louisiana.
Yeah, boy, what a mess that was. Auburn is in such bad shape because they are just dysfunction is a lifestyle there. It absolutely is, and it's not, and they are just going to be competing against so many other. That's the purpose of this exercise that I'm going through. I think they're going to be the biggest losers in this round. So
what, Auburn, right?
Auburn, yeah, and it's even when things are good, they still just blow it here. Things are so out of equilibrium between buyers and sellers, and to that point, in my next column here, you had two candidates, I guess you'd say, of different value here. Matt Rule and Rhett Lashley, that both signed extensions this week. Lashley had not only been rumored for Arkansas, but actually had the support of Jerry Jones, which I think goes a long way there. And Rule, obviously, depending on who you listen to or don't, was high up on the Penn State list. So that's just not specific to those two schools now. That basically shrinks the candidate pool, and that's going to affect the whole market here. You're seeing just a huge, if you think of your classic economics, you have your supply and demand, you're seeing just a huge shift in the supply curve where it's just shrinking. And now you've got this, you're not a demand shock, but you've got an increase in demand too. So all that's doing is pushing the price up. And again, that's where Auburn's really going to stink. This is not like the, hey, let's crap on Auburn segment, but you can't help but have it turn out that way.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm really happy we're talking about this because I don't think anybody else is really talking about this. And using the economic argument is so crucial here and so smart to understand what's actually happening. Because I feel like a lot of people are saying, like, you see coverage of this in the media, and they're like, oh, Jed Fish could be the Florida job, or Lane Kiffin, or, oh, some people are talking about Nick Saban, and they're talking about all these names. If people remember, the first one was Cignetti to Penn State. That one got shut down. Then it was Matt Rule to Penn State. That's shot down now. Lashley other places. And the problem is people are not actually doing the math. They're not realizing that, oh, hey, by the way, we're running out of top-tier candidates, and there's more jobs than top-tier candidates right now. No one's quite realized that math yet. And this is the other thing, too. The reason why you have the Rule and the Lashley extension is because we're getting to a point now where the difference between Nebraska and one of these other schools is minimal. There's a difference, obviously physical location, but for some of these schools, like if let's say you're Matt Rule, right? And you have plenty of resources to win at Nebraska. He hasn't been able to put it together yet, but he's been steadily improving the program. Let's say you're Matt Rule, you get to live at Nebraska. I'm not sure if they have kids or not. I'm just using Matt Rule as an example. There's other ones that would fit this exact same mold. Like I know Lane Kiffin does as well. You have kids. You're in these areas. They're not top tier metros. They're large metros, but they're not top tier metros. You get it. You're earning a couple $1 million. You're able to buy a massive house, like not a small house, a massive mansion with 24/7 security and all this stuff. And there's only so much more. If you move to one of these bigger metros, like Penn State's actually not that bad in terms of it, but Gainesville will probably be worse than some of these ones. Like it's Nebraska. Nebraska's in Lincoln, Nebraska, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So what is $2 million buy you in Lincoln, Nebraska? I'm fairly sure it's a massive, like 10,000 square foot mansion, right? It's okay. Why would I'm good here. I'm happy here. My family's happy here. I have this nice, beautiful house. My money goes so much further here. Why would I trade that in to go be put under a microscope at Penn State when I'm living in a smaller house?
Exactly.
Or something equivalent like that? Like there's not such a big difference anymore. Years, like decades ago, people wouldn't want to go that far. Kids wouldn't want to travel, so you had to kind of live in these recruiting hotbeds. It's where the best schools were. But like now, people routinely go cross country. They don't care anymore. Part of that is like air travel and FaceTime calls, but that's part of it right there. The other part of it is NIL. Now it's okay, if you pay money, you'll get these kids to come here. There's functionally, like, the NFL is totally fine to draft someone from Nebraska or Penn State if they're good enough. It's not, oh, they're from Nebraska, we're not going to draft them. You're going to get, other one was national exposure. You can watch pretty much every game on TV now. The NFL draft isn't oh, we couldn't see that kid, he was on, like, CBS Sports. No, you're in the Big Ten. And SMU is very fascinating because if I'm the Big Ten, and we will talk more about this later, obviously, because we're going to talk about GDP of some of these schools later, or the areas of it. But if I'm the Big Ten and the ACC gets blown up like a giant piñata in 2 to 3 years, I'm calling SMU, and I'm saying we want SMU. I'd say I want SMU and Texas Tech, because there's a very compelling GDP argument for it, especially if you're into the South. That's crazy. I know people are going to say you're crazy, Robert. But put a little bookmark on that, because, again, SMU is spending money. They're a private school. And they basically begged and borrowed their way into the ACC. They've been doing pretty well in the ACC. And if it became open to get into the Big Ten, I don't think they would stoop so low as to not just beg and borrow their way into the Big Ten too.
Yeah.
Again, there are certain ones that are going up, and I think we're going to see SMU as a lot stronger of a program in upcoming years.
Good. I heard this. I forget who said it was. It was either on Split Zone or the Audible. But one of those pods had a great story just illustrating the wealth that supports SMU.
Yeah.
When SMU was at Penn State in the first playoff game under the new format, this is so great. I have to take a breath to pass this along. The airport at State College ran out of space for private airplanes from all of the private airplanes that had come up from SMU. So some of them had to just go actually fly over to Williamsburg. I think that's it, right?
Yeah. That was enough, yeah.
Yeah, that's just, or Harrisonburg.
Yeah.
Sorry, Williamsport is Little League World Series. Just a sign of the wealth that supports that school. Remember, they, as you said, just more specifics, they forewent media rights revenue to join the ACC.
Yeah.
And they're doing just fine, thank you very much.
You're telling me that in 5 years, if the Big Ten is expanding and they say, hey, we'll give us 10% of a share of media rights ever, and by the way, you get the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Again, a lot of private planes. That sounds like a Big Ten school to me. Just saying. Or an SEC school.
Yes. All right. The third column here, interesting in that, okay, you're an AD, you're trying to fill one of these jobs, you got to feed people in mind, and the sales job on some of these coaches became a little more difficult. They always say win the press conference. I think some of these guys might have become underdogs in the press conference and not able to win the press conference. Matt Campbell had been basically, in some areas, talked about as like the backup plan to Matt Rule. Boy, Iowa State's having a tough year, and losing to Arizona State, and we will talk more about that in a second, but getting done in by Jeff Sims, that's a rough look. Confusing my Tulane people here. John Summerall has been talked about pretty much for every job south of the Mason-Dixon line. And Tulane just had it handed to them, too. About halfway through the first quarter, Hambone sent me a text saying, I'm pretty sure word got out that Summerall's leaving here because his team is playing like it. And they showed no resistance. I want to point out, too, I think that Summerall is a great coach. It's just when you have this, and I think there's something to be said for it, you have a bunch of idiot fans who want to fire guys that just shouldn't be fired at all, and they're going to demand somebody with a spotless reputation, or not resume, not reputation. That's going to make it tough for the athletic director. You wouldn't want to see them lose by 4 scores over they lost to UTSA. Vanderbilt, this isn't that bad, but look, it's not like people are usually clamoring for or understanding of getting the coach from Vanderbilt. You really would have wanted them to win at Texas rather than being down by 4 scores in the fourth quarter. Brent Key, it would have helped a lot to have won that game. That's a pretty bad loss. NC State's been rumored to be looking to fire Doran, and just losing in that spot's a really bad look. And then one of these secondary openings, I think, would have been a nice one for Willie Fritz. And this is a rough one, man. Losing to West Virginia. West Virginia was the official voucher team where you just get your West Virginia voucher, you redeem it for your win. This is a home loss, too. I'm not saying these guys aren't hireable. I'm just saying that you've created a lot more headache for the AD that needs to sell into everybody involved in the process.
And see, and this is the thing now. It's like you look at this, and it's is the top coaching candidate now just Kenny Dillingham, just as just a function of he's the only one that hasn't been nailed down yet. That's literally is that.
Oh, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. There's just hang with me.
There's one or two others, but
there's one more. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's up there. He had a good weekend, but somebody had a better weekend.
No, exactly. But I'm saying, okay, so that's one, and maybe you can have a 1A or something. But then, okay, there's these crazy ones with let's get Nick Saban or something, or maybe theoretically Urban Meyer. It was weird today. Like somehow Fox Sports, they posted like a tribute to Urban Meyer. Did he die? What? He clearly didn't die. Like what? Why are they posting a tribute to him? That's weird. But okay, no, it's like we're getting to a point where it's gonna be like someone's gonna be like, okay, fine, we'll just take Clark Lee. And that's a bad idea, but someone's just going to do it, right? They're just going to have to do it. Auburn needs a football coach. Who are they going to go get? And the thing is, UCLA needs to hire. We're not even going down the list. There's still other non-top ones like Arkansas, UCLA. There could be tons of other ones out there too. Stanford theoretically doesn't have a head coach. I think they do, but that's beside the point. But as you go down this list, there's going to be other ones that are going to have to open up, and some of these are going to have it's going to be like, yeah, okay, I guess we're just going to have to go hire Brett Key. We're just going to have to do it. Now, I think that was a very weird loss. I don't know how that happened. I watched it live, and I'm like, can you just not stop them from scoring, please?
Nobody could.
No, I get it's like they scored. If you told me that like Georgia Tech scored, I don't even know how many points, like 30 something, I'd been like, oh, cool, they won like 38-10, but no, they didn't. North Carolina, NC State just kept scoring somehow. I don't know how they did it. They just kept doing it. They just scored and scored. But
Robert, it was a dual model play on the over. What are you saying you don't know? Of course, we both had the over there. That
is true. And then West Virginia, I don't know what happened there with Houston. That was just a weird. But some of the weird stuff happens down the stretch. I think it's going to be fine. Some of these they'll recover, but it's just I think at some point they're just going to have to be hireable. Someone just going to have to get hired.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how some of these specific jobs get filled. I'll just keep it at that for now. We'll have a lot of time to talk about that. We will make time for some of these because some of these guys are going to screw it up really badly. All right, in the fourth column here is these are tricky situations that officially became difficult over the weekend. Mario did it, and I don't want to spoil my Jimbo award. With that loss and the way it happened, you can't fire him. It's too much. It's way too much money. He has really high paid assistants too. It's just too much money. Now, if that John Ruiz guy wants to pony up that much, then great, but I wouldn't do it right now. But you're really in a bad spot if you're Miami. Clemson's not going to fire. Clemson, I think, officially went from there's no way that they can fire him because the guy just can dictate when he's going to leave to I think that card might be out of his hand now. Yeah. And totally different. If you're the Florida State athletic director with this, How many calls do you think he got saying, look, he's still fired, right? You're still going to fire him. He probably got 1,000 texts, emails, and calls to that regard. Don't you think?
Yeah, they're like, don't worry. They have to play Florida at the end of the year. It's okay. There's still other hard games. It's okay. Don't worry. I don't know what happened in that game. That was very weird. Wake has this amazing defense. They're down like 35-0. No, like shout out to Mike Norvell making it interesting. Again, we early in the season, I think we expected Florida State to be in competition for a CFP berth. Now we're trying to figure out their competition for him keeping his job or not. So that's cool. We're still paying attention to Florida State games. No, like Clemson is just, it keeps getting worse and worse. Now this one actually, okay, you were only 3.5 point favorites and you lost by a point. Okay, in my opinion, it's actually defensible. People are losing their minds about this because it's Duke. Well, okay. Again, I will point out that like we were only like SMU not beaten Clemson, and to be fair, Clemson was the favorite against SMU. Like Clemson was like, I think if you figure out what the number was, they were like 28th in like the coaches poll. Like we were actually so close to Clemson being ranked again, like just 2 weeks ago. If they had beaten a team they were favored against, we would have had ranked Clemson. That's how insane this is. Again, they are anywhere near top 25 in my rankings, nor in yours. But this is the point of this Clemson team is so weird. People have this massive respect for Dabo. Clearly doesn't exist anymore. I don't know if you can fire him because the thing is, at this point, what are you going to do? Like, at this point, who can you get? You can't get anyone. You need this to calm down because you're not a better job than Florida. You're not a better job than LSU. You're definitely not a better job than Penn State. Arguably, Auburn and you are, like, on par with each other. Like, this is the thing. It's you can't fire him now. You actually have to just kind of ride it out and just hope. Be like, please use the transfer portal. That's literally, you're just like, please use the transfer portal. And he's going to be like, no, it's like, we tried. That's the off-season game plan for them. And for Mario Cristobal, we were talking about how this team was like undefeated, going to go undefeated through ACC conference play, going to make the conference championship game. Then they lose against Louisville. And then they lose, on a Friday night game. And the defense looks horrible. Carson Beck looks horrible. Then they lose outright again as 10.5 point favorites against SMU. Again, defense looking okay. Defense was okay, but offense looked horrible. It was so funny because a couple weeks ago, I remember when we talked about that Louisville game, I bet on Louisville, and I said it'll be really funny if like Miami was like plus 950 to not miss the playoffs, and I'm like, you know what? If they lose a game, they're now like 6% to make the playoffs. I can't wait to collect that check in like a few weeks in December now, because that's when it cashes that, because theoretically they can make the playoffs. But like, this has got to be the most like ridiculous collapse we've ever seen for our team in 3 weeks, because even then they were tied with Stanford at the half last week. So this isn't like, okay, they still won that game, but like, what a just insane collapse there. I don't think we've ever seen a team collapse this much in the span of 3 weeks.
And what additional levers are there to push?
Yeah.
You've killed it in recruiting. You've NIL'd to the max. You've won the portal, basically. You've basically got I'll put it this way. I'd say all but maybe a handful of programs would want both your coordinators. You've run the whole course here. I don't know. And this is from a guy who has Miami to win the ACC. There's no more cards to play. Right?
I think, but based on the results here, I think you have to keep him again. I think you have to.
Yeah, you do. Oh, that's a frustrating thing. It's nuts. Oregon fans were right. It's like, good. Oregon fans knew exactly what Miami was getting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so you know who had the best week then? It's Bob Chesney at JMU.
Yeah.
With all these things, just kind of like we said, shifting the demand and the supply curves drastically, thrashing Texas State 52-20 to move to 7-1 overall, 5-0 in the Sun Belt, and your name was already out there for some jobs. It's good to be Bob Chesney right now.
Yeah. No, he's gonna get one of those like SEC or Big Ten jobs, just straight up. Like, it's gonna be one of them. He's gonna get one of them. And honestly, whatever team he gets, I'm gonna be very intrigued by whatever team he is. And also, I also want to talk to whoever actually hires the head coaches at JMU. I want them to be my new athletic director. That's who I want as my athletic director.
Yeah. And this is where, again, just not to pick on Auburn, but all of their dysfunction, probably the best name here there's no way he's going to have his pick. There's absolutely no way that he would say, you know what, all my choices are here. I'll go to that mess that is Auburn. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. All right, pretty good wrap up of a bunch of different things that happened this weekend. My other takeaway, you know what? All credit, we have crapped on Jeff Sims a lot, and credit to him and credit to Kenny Dillingham for making this happen too. I referred to Jeff Sims as a swinging gate because he was so bad. I thought that Kenny Dillingham should go back to that swinging gate offense that he ran in 2023. And he sets a school record for quarterback rushing yards as they beat Iowa State. So good for him. And again, this is Kenny Dillingham. The guy just finds a way. He's just a football coach, plain and simple, right?
No, like the second it was announced that Leavitt was done, and it was like Jeff Sims, I'm like, oh, okay, season over. They're going to get crushed by Iowa State. They're just going to lose every game from now on by 20 points. But no, Kenny Dillingham just shoved in my face and said, no, we're going to keep winning here. And this is the thing, right? It's this kind of does this have vaguely like Cignetti last year with the Indiana vibes? It's not exactly the same because the team isn't, but it's at lower quality. It's not as strong of a team as he was able to assemble in Indiana. But it's just, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna pick up this guy from the MAC and we're gonna go to the playoffs. It's that kind of like coaching, right? Is that crazy or no? Like that, it feels a little bit like that.
I was thinking of a different parallel, another Kenny Dillingham reclamation project. Let's not forget what a joke Bo Nix was when he went to Oregon.
Yeah.
Like, the people were laughing. I was laughing.
Yeah.
And Kenny Dillingham made it work. That's what he does. And I guess that's why he's going to be the head coach at name it.
It should be. It's not going to be Florida because there's going to be this weird incestuous thing where they go after Lane Kiffin. But it should be Kenny Dillingham. Because if you're like, hey, we've got this DJ Legway kid that everybody was super hype about, and we should hire this guy who's fixed, like, Bo Nix, made him an NFL quarterback. Jeff Sims, that's even more impressive than the Bo Nix one, honestly. Like, I'd hire him.
Yeah, I used to watch The Simpsons a lot, and I'm sure they've had an episode like this. I'm just guessing. I'm just using them because they're the best avatar for this point I'm going to make. I'm sure there's some kind of Simpsons episode where there's somebody who knows The Simpsons very well, and the Simpsons think, okay, this guy, we know him very well, he likes us, and then I'm sure that he'll want to have us over for Thanksgiving or some kind of thing. And the guy is just thinking, yeah, I know these people, I don't want to be anywhere near them on Thanksgiving. And I bring that up because I actually saw Dillingham's name suggested for Auburn because he was he was the OC there. And I would say, if this guy's seen that mess up close and personal, I would say there's no way he would want to be anywhere near that. Compared to ASU?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're aligned on that. Okay. Your takeaway here.
Yeah, this is one of the memes from Breaking Bad there. Jesse Pinkman saying Walter White can't keep getting away with it. How does Georgia keep getting away with this? But, like, how, right? Pull off the win against Auburn. They were, whatever, weird officiating in that game, whatever. They win by 10. It looks better than it was. They somehow win and cover against Ole Miss. Again, actually, they covered against Auburn as well, so somehow getting the win and cover against Ole Miss. Couldn't get the cover this week, though. Somehow only beating Florida by 4 points. No idea how that even happened. No idea how this game was competitive at all. Should have been a blowout. Yeah. It's weird, though. In the middle of the game, it was like, hey, Florida's randomly competitive in this game, and I actually did buy in at the 7.5. And then I think it was Gunnar Stockton near the end of the game. He could have covered the spread.
Yes.
But he went. So the thing is, it's funny because my line on this was, I believe, 14, and it would have been 11. So it would have been close to my spread, would have been a cover. But then he did the smart play, actually. That was the smart play. That was the correct play. But, like, even excluding that, because I think the only reason that even happened, he had the ability to go down the one, was because of, like, a DJ Legway interception, which, like, is expected, but, like, it shouldn't have been that close. It should not have been that close at all. Like, this should have been, like, a weird, like, Georgia winning this game by 20, and it wasn't. Like, what is wrong with Georgia here? There's something wrong, and I'm really worried they're not going to be able to beat Texas. Not because I want, like, Georgia to beat Texas. I just want Texas to lose against Georgia. But, like, I'm worried they're not going to be able to beat Texas. Like, but should we be worried about that?
No, I would say exactly the opposite. I think
when they win.
I would see, yeah, I could see them being down by 4 scores at halftime, and then Texas just finding a way to not do it because it's Sark, and they find a way.
The line is like Texas minus 2.5. Everybody's betting on Texas. We're just like pounding Georgia.
Yes, I wouldn't want, if we just skip ahead of the playoffs a little bit, I definitely would not back Georgia against any of the top 3 from the Big Ten. That's not happening.
Yeah.
Or any of the, and you'll get to this later, any of the 3 or 4 ACC teams that make the playoff. We'll get to that in a second.
Yes.
All right. The Sharpest firing range, where Robert grows an extra hand, an extra arm, and my dog watches him throw, shoot arrows in the hearts of head coaches on the in FBS.
Yeah. So yeah, just adding Auburn onto here. I didn't realize it was an 11.5 spread. I thought it was like 7 or something. It was 11.5. So that losing by 7, again, only scoring 3 points against a horrible Kentucky team, that kind of does you in there. 18.5 point difference fits right in with the average of the of everything else. Again, Billy Napier currently the only coach to win the game and yet still get fired. So that is again something special for him. No one else has done that quite yet. But I give it time. I think we might see 1 or 2 like that. That'll be like Mike Norvell. He like beats Florida at the end of the season. Like, yeah, no, you're fired anyway. So it's, but no, it's again, this is the thing, right? We've highlighted so many other places. Michigan State, they're saying they're not happy with their head coaches. Florida State, could Clemson do something? Could Miami do something? Like, what is Stanford doing specifically, right? There's a lot of, some people are saying that Michigan is upset with Sharon Moore, but like they can't, like, you can't do anything. No, like you can't.
Not the time now.
No, like it's Windows sailed there. You can't do it. There's so many that are gonna come up. It's just like and top tier ones too. It's not half the MAC is up. No, this is some of the top jobs in the sport are up here. And I think we even forget about the other ones like Virginia Tech. That's not a horrible job. That's a pretty good job. Like UCLA, like another, like there's 2 Big Ten teams that have slots opened up, and I think to some extent you could view them as mostly interchangeable. A little difference, but most Big Ten's mostly interchangeable because of their rights deal. No, it's we're not done here yet, but yeah, we're just throw another one up on the board. That's what this is so far.
I think Virginia Tech I think they're going to do well because they've given their coaches a lot of leeway. Like, the guys have had to prove that they just cannot get it done before getting fired. I think that they're one of the more sane situations here compared to everybody else. I think they might surprise. I think they'll do okay this time. I think it's also time they actually do one because they've failed for a while here too. Unless they do the Shane Bamer thing, which is, I don't know. Then all bets are off. All right. Now's the time where Robert and I turn into college football Karens and demand to talk to someone, maybe the manager of college football. Robert, I'm not like going after this guy. I blame Ribeye Ray because I was sitting there I wasn't enjoying at the time. I was anguishing in the first half, USC struggling with Nebraska, and then Ribeye Ray sends me a text that referenced this tweet from Stuart Mandel. USC is going to find a way to run for 250 yards and lose. And you know what? He just makes it too easy. He makes it too easy, and I just got to. So, once again, noted Big Ten expert Stuart Mandel, wrong about Big Ten. Maybe the Athletics should seek to hire our Big Ten expert, Isaiah Walker, since he's 1,000 times the analyst that Mr. Mandel is when it comes to Big Ten matters.
No, it was close, though. It was close, but no. Once they lost Raiola, I think that was pretty much it for Nebraska. It was closer, though, but no, again, USC was favored in this game. Did they cover the spread? No, but they were probably going to win this game, and they found a way to win the game.
And my gripe is, if USC runs for the closer that USC comes to running for 250, their chances for winning go up exponentially.
Yeah.
Because as we previewed, boy, that Nebraska run defense is bad. What a dichotomy this team is. I don't remember ever seeing a team that is so just smothering on pass defense and couldn't stop the run to save their life. I've never seen anything so crazy like that. It just doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, I think we've been looking for ways to evaluate coaches, and I had the idea about this earlier this week, is that we should try to figure out, like, based on what coaches call against certain other teams, there's ways you have to adjust this, and you'll realize what I mean in a second. But if you're playing as a team that's bad against the pass, if they call more passing plays, or if they're bad against the run, you call more running plays. That could be the mark of a good coach. That could be something because that's who's able to adapt their game plan to fit their opponent rather than just this is X football, right? So that's something to look at. But I think USC, they got the job done here, but they could have run more probably.
Yeah, and that's when they won the second half 15-3 because they didn't give up on the pass, but that was when they realized, or I don't know if they realized, because Riley realizes this, but he actually capitalized on, if we just keep with Maava here, Nebraska was so keyed in on just this, and I hate to get X and O's, but They were so keen on following the pulling tackle because USC, their staple running play is just they pull both guys from, say, the right side to the across to the left. And when you defend it, you can just follow that pulling tackle and just get to the ball carrier because you know where the play is going. So when Mayava keeps on that, and you see that defensive lineman crashing down, there's always wide space open. And they didn't really, I don't know if they just wait until the second half to unveil it, but that's basically how they won the game. It's how they scored the tying touchdown, it was the tying touchdown at that point. So anyways, I like that metric. I don't know how we do that. It's going to need... The other thing, too, is that really needs time-specific measurements, too.
Yeah, because if you in junk time, right, it's, we run a bunch. Like, it's going to be like, oh, wow, they were the genius. They ran the ball and they're up 30 against this team that's really bad against defending the run, right?
Well, I want to know what what the opponent's defensive apex was when they played that game, not at the end of the season.
True, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good project, though, for the offseason. Yep. Thank you for booking up my April. I was looking for something to do. So, all right. Yeah, we had to fit this in somewhere.
Yeah, hey, guys. You okay? This is okay. Who started... So, it's a fun side thing. Who was the starting quarterback for this game? Do you know? I'm fairly sure it was Caden Salter, actually.
Probably. Yeah, if I'm going by narrative, I'm thinking the 3.3 per attempt probably got him pulled.
Yeah. Ryan Staub came in and just threw 2 passes to the other team. 0-2, 2 interceptions. So he just threw 2 interceptions to the other team. That is 0-2, right? Because the interception is a pass attempt and it wasn't complete. That's so it's just 2. Just how do you do that? Is QBR of 0? That's too low. That's too high. I think it should be like -50. I think at that point.
Yeah, Dominic Ponder came in just to an incomplete pass, and he was infinitely better than Ryan Staub.
Yeah, like it was like you didn't actively hinder the team in this case, but Staub just was it like Salter came in first, then Julian Lewis came in and tried to do something, and then when it was a blowout, they're like, okay, let's try Ryan Staub, and then that went so horribly. They're like, this guy who I'm not sure if he's a quarterback or not. I don't know. Just like we throw one pass, he just had a trick play. It was just incompletion. He still had a higher QBR than Staub. What is happening here? This is not just a 1 week occurrence. They also got blown out last week by Utah. What is happening here? Like, Deion Sanders, I know, has health issues, and that's maybe impacting this. I'm not sure, but again, 2 weeks ago you beat Iowa State. People are like, oh, it's questioning Deion Sanders' future. He's not gonna get fired because it's Colorado, and he brought them from literally nothing to. They were competitive last year, and that's more than enough he can decide if he wants to come on for next year. But this is really bad, guys. This is looking a lot more like Colorado from 2 years ago than this. Now, it's been the last 2 weeks. There clearly isn't a quarterback, but I have a lot of questions here. Caden Salter was far better than this, even at Liberty last year. Like, he wasn't this bad. And he wasn't bad to the point where you're throwing in guys who throw 2 passes to the other team. You couldn't even incomplete a pass. You don't even throw a pass away. What? I don't even know. It's so bad. Like, I don't even know what's happening with this. It's so bad.
No, this looks like Carl Durrell, Colorado.
Yeah.
They would have had 10 points, not 17. But I do want to point out Julian Lewis was a one-time commit to USC. I do not see him hanging around for more of this. This is not what he signed up for.
No, he was okay-ish. I think starting in a Sun Belt game would be far better than whatever this was.
How about this? I don't know what a certain Big Ten program was, but I wouldn't be surprised if he lands at Oregon, if Will Stein is still there. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, that could
If Dante Moore is out, no, that would work for everybody. But yeah, this is not good. I will say also, first of all, who's your offensive player of the game for Colorado? Just for fun. I guess it's Lewis, right?
I guess it just has to be Julian Lewis. He did something. He didn't actively hinder the team.
Yeah. Dominic Ponder, boy, you could just say what a bum he is with the 0 for 1 and 2 carries for -4 yards, but Ryan Staub is just the trump card here. 0 for 2 with 2 picks. That's literally, you cannot do worse in Apex. I haven't run the numbers. I should have run that for him, but yeah. One other thing though, too, in some amount of fairness, clearly things are awry in Colorado. No, stay tuned to the week 11 preview. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
How's that for a tease? All right.
Yeah.
Victory laps. Mine is pretty simple here. In Island Time, this is not a game that any of us had as a play in terms of models. I just threw this out in Island Time. I said, look, I think that Duke's the play here straight up. I think they're going to win. And all 3 of us, myself and you and Duck, all 3 of us said we like Duke straight up here. And Duke made it happen. A little help. Controversial call there from what I saw, but you know what? It's on the road against a power 4 team, so can't argue with that.
Yeah, and again, Duke was leading 21-7 at the end of the first, and then now Clemson came back a bit, and then Clemson had a bit stronger of a third. But again, like it was a very close game. This is not like it was a blowout either way. It was a very close game both ways, and yeah, honestly, all the projections hang up. Honestly, the 40-28 could have very easily happened had Clemson not turned it on there in the second and the third. No, yeah, Duke was clearly the play here. Manny Diaz is not bad. Is he going to get probably higher to the next level? Yeah, probably no. Should he be? Maybe. But
We're running out of names. We're running out of names.
That's the thing, right? We're running out of names, and this is not bad. Is it Mike Elko's Duke? No, but it's not bad, and it's better than some of the other teams. Better than Clemson was, and it is on the road. Not the furthest distance there from North Carolina to South Carolina, but still, not the easiest place to play. Is it? Yeah, no. Death Valley is LSU. That's Death Valley.
No, they're both Death Valley.
They're both Death Valley. And they're both Tigers, too. That's not confusing at all.
No, it's like I say I'm the smartest guy in college football, and you say you are. So it's the same thing. It's like
fair,
we both are. Okay, yes. I want to point out, too, let's not forget that Duke was hamstrung with Malik Murphy at quarterback. So if they just had a functional quarterback, and now you've got functional plus with Darian Mensah, but I think Diaz knows what he's doing. I don't want to say that Miami's cursed or anything. I don't know. Diaz got just about as much out of a Miami program as 3 times the investment that it's getting now, right?
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. I'd say if you're really in trouble, like if your first and second options are gone, or you think you have, let's say for example, you're like, oh, okay, we're gonna hire. I'm trying to think of who it would be. Let's say we're gonna hire Tech's head coach, and they go into the playoffs, and maybe they win the first round game to the second round or something, and you're like, okay, we're gonna hire Texas Tech's coach, and then all of a sudden it's January, and then that falls apart, and everyone else is off the board. Yeah, I'd be fine with Diaz. Just go with it. You got to.
Yeah. Yep. Agree. All right. Staying to the
Yes, I'm declaring final victory over this slide here. Yeah, this was great. I called this out at the time of how insane it was, and just every week, especially this last week, it just showed. Like I said at the time, ACC is going to be 1 bid, maybe 2, if they're lucky, because I said that the selection committee is not going to redo what they did last year. And now it turns out the ACC just helped me along. The ACC was like, we don't even need the college football committee's help. We're just going to do it ourselves. This slide had Florida State and Miami. Neither of those teams. Now, to be fair, this was, I think, week 2 or week 1, I think. It was week 2, I think. It was after week 2. So to be fair, at the time, those were 2 of the best teams. But again, it was the Florida State one was weird. Miami was like not. It was very clear that there were still question marks on Miami. You shouldn't have just been like, okay, that's it, they're done, they're perfect now. Again, there's no way they're getting 3. They're maybe getting 2, but I'm fairly sure that like whatever the final thing comes out as, they're gonna make it so that my guess is they're gonna make it so that the 2 ACC teams are probably like hovering ish around. One is probably gonna be like 10th or something, and then one is going to be like 15th or something, and it's going to be like, oh, okay, the 15th one won, so now they'll come up to like 11th or something, and oh, the 8th one won, so they'll go up to 7th or something. Like, they're going to play it cute. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in one of my other slides here, but this is where this is going to be now. And I'm very interested to see the College Football Committee's rankings, not because I'm curious as to what they think. I'm curious as to their thought process, how they're going to fix the problems from last year, or like in quotation marks, fix. But I'm curious about that. So, but yeah, there's no way it's 3, maybe 2, but it's very likely going to be 1 now.
Yeah, and brilliant call up by you when this happened. I do want to remind you that this was so long ago that it was just assumed that the other bid that's not explicitly mentioned in here was Clemson.
It was like they had one bad loss against LSU. They just lost to LSU. It's fine, and then the next week they like lose to Troy. That's true.
They beat Troy.
Barely.
They were trailing at half, though. Yes. Actually, maybe Duke's not that good because Duke didn't lead them at half, so maybe not a big win by Duke there as we all thought.
Actually, that's a good point. The assumption was it was going to be Clemson. They were going to shake off the loss to LSU. And then go undefeated and be in the championship game versus like the winner of Miami and Florida. And Tech, the team that actually is going to go to the championship, they're just like, oh, they'll lose some games, it'll be fine. But like Georgia Tech is very clearly, unless something else happens and then we get another NC State level upset, they're probably going to go to the championship game. So,
We need to let a couple more weeks go up because there's a logjam at the top of that
Yeah.
conference. I think so, though. I think
If
you're
they
right.
win out, they'll be there. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Let's see. Duke only has one loss too, so we'll have to see. I don't know if those two. Now, I don't know. It's that again tiebreaker time. We'll see. All right. Here we go. Thing that randomly
Yeah.
bugged Robert this week.
So this week, I'm gonna draw explicit attention to the others receiving votes here. Now, most people don't look at this a lot, but I looked at this week. So, one is Iowa. Fine. I don't agree, but fine. If you want to,
Come on.
fine.
Yes.
Next up, James Madison. A little bit of an eyebrow raiser right there. And then San Diego State right after that. Do you know why they are so close to the top 25?
What do we need a name for that?
Gotta be
is
some,
it like
like some sort of effect or something.
Yeah. What's like the little? I don't know. It's the cue card for the committee. The committee doesn't know their lines, so somebody's got the thing up where they're saying it's James Madison. James Madison.
No, but see, the thing is, what this is basically explicitly doing, and watch, I bet you any money, we're not talking about I don't think we're talking about the playoff committee rankings today specifically, or in part 2, but like, they're gonna have Memphis at like 15th or something, and then they're gonna slide JMU and San Diego State in the top 25. Because what happens is, they realized they have a problem earlier this year. When USF lost to Memphis, they're like, oh shoot, we're screwed. Because if we don't rank enough of these teams and they all lose, then we're in deep trouble. So they're now, JMU and San Diego State are now backups. They're like, we don't trust Memphis to win out because they lost to UAB. So now we got to stick them in here so that if Memphis loses to Tulane this week, then James Madison is the top ranked one. Yes. This is where it's insane. Like, here's the thing. I love. And this is not a knock against JMU. I love Bob Chesney. I'd love it if he was the coach of Florida next year. That would be great. Not knocking JMU as a program at all, but I don't think they're the 27th best program in the country. I don't think so. Now, are they a good team? Yes, and I bet on them this week. I think but they're not that high. Neither do I think San Diego State is that high. But because this is, again, the committee, not even the committee, this is the AP, this isn't your job. It's not your job to what the end goal here is going to be, and what the reason why I think the committee is going to rank them exactly as I said, is that the committee is going to find a way to put the G5 champion 12th. I bet you any money. The thing is, it's going to be like, because they can't put them 13th or 15th, because it's going to be like, oh, we would have been in if not for the G5 champion. So they're always going to 100% have to rank them 12th. And you saw that last year with Boise State. Now, actually, they ranked them higher, actually, because of Clemson's win. But they're establishing the bar now where they're going to independently rank these G5 teams higher, so that basically it's going to be like, if one of them wins, they'll go up to 12, which it's fine, but then like I get the point of you have to have a sort of ranking so that, if this team wins out, then they'll move in, but if that team loses, then this next team. I understand that, but you're doing a disservice when you're calling something a ranking, but the ranking is just used to justify which team you're going to put into the playoff. When it's like, again, Tennessee is better than JMU. They're far better than 3 slots better than JMU, right? But in the rankings, they're only 3 slots ahead of them. Same as Washington, same as Cincinnati. You cannot justify Iowa and Cincinnati and Washington, Tennessee only being a couple of slots above JMU. You can't justify that. But you have to rank them there because you have to try to fix it for the committee to put them in like 12th. If Memphis loses, then JMU gets to be the. But that's just how insane this is. Like, I get it, we need to have that in there, but there's a far better way of doing it rather than just, maybe I'm just being crazy, that I'm just like, the perfectionist, like, that ranking's wrong because you're doing this to justify this other thing. It's just focus on your job. You're supposed to pick the top 25 best teams. You're not supposed to give air cover for the committee to do something stupid. Just do your job.
Yeah. How's this for a conspiracy theory hot take?
Okay.
I'm gonna throw this out there. I'm gonna say this is not implausible, okay? This team, we were just talking about what a horrible loss. If you lose at home to West Virginia, there's no way you should be ranked this year, right? Here's my hot take conspiracy theory. I live in Orange County, California. There's a local newspaper. I do not get either local paper. I get neither the Times nor the Orange County Register. There is a writer for the Orange County Register who was very viral, we'll say, about 7 weeks ago, because she, after South Florida beat Florida, this writer, I forget her name, it's a writer for the Orange County Register. She ranked Florida above South Florida, above undefeated South Florida, we will point out at that point. You remember this, right?
Yes.
I'm thinking that lady actually ranked Houston because she thinks that they're still in the American. She's going by the same process that you did, and she's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to put Houston in there.
It's actually, I didn't include this. It's funny because I actually didn't include this in the picture. But if you go back, but to do this, I checked the other receiving votes from the last couple of weeks, and like JMU and San Diego State there was a couple of them for a while, and they didn't get much. But in the last couple of weeks, they've been boosted up now. Because, again, they're worried Memphis isn't going to win out, so they have to justify, James Madison's next up, right? Like, they've actually, I wouldn't be surprised if there was, like, actually a memo of these people like, hey, have you guys thought what happens if Memphis loses? And they're like, oh, shoot, we actually didn't think of that. So now they're just, like, randomly boosting other G5 teams up. Because, again, it's like, okay, you can't put a MAC team in there, and you can't put a Conference USA team in there, and you definitely can't put a Pac-2 team in there. So it's okay, we just have to have the teams from the other conferences in there, because if Memphis loses, then we need to have a ranked G5 team to go to the playoffs.
You know what? I'd also like to know, so where's Memphis? Where are they, like 18 or some? Where are they?
They're like 21st, I think, in the AP.
Okay. They have one loss, correct?
Yes, just to UAB.
Yeah. Thank you. To a horrible UAB team. Horrible. Just objectively bad. North Texas has one loss, only to South Florida. South Florida has only one loss, to Memphis. I don't understand how Memphis is so much better than these two when they've taken turns beat. They're roughly around the same. And you can say Memphis beat them, who beat them. Yet neither of these guys came close to losing to a team that's just as horrible as UAB either. So I can't see that big delta between Memphis and these two guys right here.
Isn't in my top 25.
You pointed out last week too.
Yeah, like Memphis isn't in my. Memphis isn't in my top 25. None of those are in my top 25. And they shouldn't be. Like, you're getting to the point where you're, like, are they better than LSU? Probably not. LSU isn't horrible. Is it badly coached? Yes. But look, they did beat Clemson. They came close. They did beat Florida. They lost to Ole Miss, but barely. Yeah, they got crushed by Texas A&M, but Texas A&M is crushed. It's not like LSU is that bad. Arizona State, I'd take Arizona State over any of them either. Like, I don't have any of them in my top 25 because that's not my job. My job isn't to just shove one of them into the top 25 blindly so we can have a ranked G5 team. I'm doing my job. They're not doing their job.
You didn't have any of those in your pipeline top 25?
No. Did you?
I think South Florida snuck into mine. I just take the ratings, but I toss everybody who's not at least 500 at this point. Like, not to spoil it, but there's some teams that just shouldn't be ranked, but they have really good power ratings. You and I have talked about one of them like every week for a while. You can find out who that is in part 2 here. Okay, yeah, I agree with you. All right, Jimbo Awards. Hey, no secret who mine is. You know what I've discovered, Robert? That if you want to make somebody look really dopey, you just get a picture of them, just get their head. It just makes them look dumb here, like I've done to Mario here. Look, we've gone over the whole thing here about it. This was just... It was the Mario thing. And this time it was on 4th and 9. 4th and 9, I don't know. Did you see like this, how they actually screwed up on this 4th and 9?
No, what? Lay the story here.
Miami called a timeout on 4th and 9. This is 4th and 9 with a minute left in the fourth quarter. Okay, 4th and 9 for SMU. Miami calls a timeout like right before the ball is snapped. So the ball is snapped, and one of the defensive end at Miami he didn't stop. And he didn't tackle the quarterback, but he knocked him pretty hard, and that was a personal foul. 15-yard penalty that kept the drive alive on 4th and 9. Just brutal. And they find a way again to not find a way. Carson Beck, let me just go through this. I want to go back to what we do with Carson Beck here. This is your leader. He's asked after the game what happened, and he said, I just execute the play that's called. First of all, if that's your leader, you are hosed. You are so done. When your leader is just saying blame the coaches, no, that's a big problem. Number 2, I'm going to argue with 9 interceptions, including 6 in your last 3 games. You're not really executing the plays that are called. Maybe I'm being a little tough on the guy, but no, you're not executing the plays that are called. I think everybody involved needs to find a doctor's note for Carson Beck that he just can't play the rest of the year. I don't know what you gain by keeping him in at this point. You have to move on.
Well, who else do you put in there though? I don't think
Next year, the guy who you think you're going to start next year. What are you playing for? This guy is toxic. It's a toxic situation. He's no good.
Yeah.
He's not a good quarterback anymore.
And we had called that out too early on in the season as well. Now it seemed to be okay after the first couple of weeks, but then around the Florida game, and then Florida was a bit iffy, but then Florida State looked okay, but then immediately after that they kind of just went off a cliff. And I don't know. Destroying the coach on the bus is not my fault. I'm just it was the play, throw to the other team for better field position. Yeah,
we called the interception play.
Yeah, just throw it, heave it just play catch with a linebacker or something. That's the play. No, I mean, it's not good. It's 6 interceptions in the last 3 games, one of them which was Stanford, so does that even count really? But 9 in 7 games, that's also not good. Again, you're supposed to be elite quarterback. This is why him going might have actually saved Georgia to win the SEC last year, right?
Yeah.
No, it's such a weird situation, but
yeah, that's a great counterfactual. There's no way Georgia is the take your pick, keep getting away with it or find a way team. There's no way they have that same personality if he's still a quarterback there.
Yeah. And that's also the other kind of, I forgot to mention that earlier, but that's the other, because they keep getting away with it. But I think people will keep saying, they keep getting away with it, but what you should be saying is, why does it keep having to get to this point? Why is it because this is the thing, Kirby Smart and the Georgia team, they're so good, they just find a way to win. It's like, okay, but why did they have to find a way to win? They're, third, fourth best team in the country? They're the number 4 team. You're not the number 4 team and you're trying to find, and again, it's okay if you played Ohio State and the top other teams, if you played the other top 3 teams and you kept finding ways to win, I'd be like, yeah, sure. You played Florida, a team that just fired their coach. You played Ole Miss, okay, and you somehow won that game. You probably shouldn't have, but you also found a way against Auburn, another team that just fired their coach. 2 of those 3 escapes were against teams that had basically fired coaches. That's not an accomplishment. It's why did it get to this point? Why did it have to get to the point where you needed to find a way to win? You're Georgia. You should have won games. And you could also throw in the Tennessee one there. They could have lost that game as well. No, it's crazy how there's some quarterbacks, and I think Carson Beck might be one of them, that are just, they're extremely highly variable, and it's things are going great, it's all great. First couple of weeks, you're doing good, you're in great shape, and then all of a sudden, things start getting a bit rough. Louisville comes up, and then, you okay-ish against Stanford, but then SMU, suddenly problems starts growing up again, right? And SMU's a good team. They're not a bad team. They're a good team. They had a couple losses this year, but they made the playoff last year. No, I don't know. I'm not sure if the thing is, the season's done now, as you point out, right? Your 2 losses, you're probably not making the ACC championship game just because of how insane the tiebreakers are.
Your quarterback's throwing the coaches under the bus.
Yeah, I'd be there's a small.
They have to find a doctor's note for him, right? They have to. I don't.
Yeah.
But they won't. All right.
It costs too much money.
Yeah, exactly. NIL contract, whatever, but doctor's note, can't do that. Yeah, I was actually going to take this one, but you took mine off the editing room floor here.
Yeah, I'm giving it to Boise State here. What the heck happened in this game? So just as a quick context here, Fresno State has not been a particularly good team this season. They have allowed 7 points to one other team this season. So the other team has scored more than 7 points. Do you know what that other team is? There's probably no way you know this.
Oh man.
They played an FCS team. You don't have to know the FCS team name, but do you think it was the FCS team or was it an FBS team?
No, I think it was an FBS team.
No, team. It was Southern or something. Okay. Yeah. So the only other team outside of Boise State to score 7 points against them was an FCS team.
Okay. Now, in fairness, Maddox Madsen was hurt.
Okay.
But nothing in this game makes sense.
Yeah.
Even yet, yeah. Okay. Your backup quarterback is an FCS level. I'm also dying to know, how can you give up 30 points to a team that gets 224 yards?
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff in this game. This box score also deserves its own Jimbo Award, too. What happened here? So you win the yardage by 20 yards, 30 yards, and you have yards per... First of all, you allowed 1.7 yards a pass on your opposing team. They scored 30 on you.
Yeah, because they ran very well, right? 4 yards a carry.
Okay-ish. What happened? I don't know. happened? Such a
There,
weird game.
yeah, there had to be just like some big punt returns or something in this one.
Boise had 94 penalty yards. Were the fumbles and the intercept? There's two interceptions and the fumbles were they like on their own like 20-yard line, and that's what happened. That must have been it, I guess. At least one had to have been.
I'm wondering if they could have, just a reminder, holder of the number one spot for a large part of this year on the bum list, Malachi Nelson of UTEP.
Mm-hmm.
You might remember he was on Boise State. I wonder if they could have used him in this game.
Maybe.
What a counterfactual that would be.
Yeah, 102 yards passing, only slightly better, only better than your opponent's 35 yards passing, which is horrendous. How do you even have, like, your defense showed up to this game, they only allowed 30 points somehow, but, like, your offense just didn't. And, like, this was a team last year that had Ashton Genty, one of the best running backs in college football, one of the best now in the NFL, and, like, you ran for 91 yards against a bad Mountain West team. That's the best you could do.
I will say, in fairness, also, Fresno is as good as a team can be that doesn't really play defense and can't throw the ball. Okay? Just in fairness to them.
So they're just that 4.0 yards per rush.
Yes, consistent. Yeah, can you imagine watching this game?
I couldn't. It was on Fox Sports
mid.
1, so I physically couldn't watch this game.
Yeah, consider yourself that just received a big favor on that one. Yeah. All right. Couple of items noted for future reference. Boy, I looked at this score, Notre Dame 25, Boston College 10. I thought, what happened here? Just almost the opposite of that, of the game we just talked about here. If you just throw all the performance into the performance metrics into the BuckMetrics machine post-game, this should have been something more like Notre Dame 49, Boston College 3. So I'm, as somebody with a little Notre Dame position, I'm not really worried about that. It's just one of those weird variance games. Then Texas with a 3-point win over Vanderbilt. My gosh. Again, if you wonder why this podcast seems to be bearish on Sark kind of as a lifestyle here, look at this fourth quarter. You're up by 4 scores, and what does Texas do? 14 plays for all of 46 yards, a missed field goal, and a punt. That is a beautiful fourth quarter. As your opponent in 3 possessions is getting over 10 yards, what is that? That's actually 11 yards per play, and scoring 3 touchdowns. This is just another like that Arizona State playoff game last year. They won, but the pucker goes right from the coach to the whole team. And I can tell you that's exactly what happened here. And back to this point about their crappy offense in the fourth quarter, what were we giving him crap about 2 years ago, I believe it was, when Sark said the key to being a good team is being able to run when the opponent knows you're going to run? Looks like they get an F on that one in this one.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure, like, fourth quarter when you're up 3 scores, that's when you run. And I don't think they were able to run very well. 14 plays for 46 yards, that's less than 4 a play, and that's a missed field goal and a punt. So, again, yeah, that's rough. That's very rough. Again, I can't believe it even got that close. It should have been, like, they opened up a huge lead early in this game, and Vanderbilt couldn't come back. But no, it's just not that team, is something wrong with that Texas team. And this is the problem, right? It's just like, they're ranked. I think my model actually does have them in the top 25. I'm not happy about that, but it does. But it's just, the problem is they have 2 wins. And if they beat Georgia somehow, and if they beat Texas A&M somehow, then they're going to get in the playoff right now. Yeah. That's 2 big ifs. And if they did win those 2, if they won those 2 games, they probably deserve to be in there. Yeah, that's true. But, like, I also have a lot of Texas no to make the playoffs. I would want that. Yeah. But this is the thing, right? It's just like, the problem is, it's so weird, right? Because on one hand, I kept thinking, I'm like, you know what? They barely beat Kentucky. They barely beat Mississippi State. I'm like, there's no, like, Vanderbilt's a good team, they should, but I'm like, no, wait a minute. Think of the other way. They're going to crush this game, and it's going to be the one you don't expect. It's going to be the one that they're going to lose to. And now maybe that's what this is. Maybe this was just like, oh, okay, everybody thinks they're going to lose against Vanderbilt. And to be fair, Vanderbilt was the public team in this one. And maybe this is now, okay, wait for a week. Georgia plays Mississippi State. There's a really fun thing where it's like if Georgia somehow loses to Mississippi State or something, then everybody's going to be on Texas. Texas might even be the favorite against Georgia. And then Georgia will crush them. So there's a lot more football that's to be played. Some more fun stuff that can happen. I think Texas is on a bye this week. Maybe Archie Manning can come back from his whatever injury he is. Actually, he did have a concussion. He had a concussion. But like whatever other injury that happens whenever he tries to throw the ball. I don't know. But no, it's very weird. Actually, how could he, if he had a concussion like last week, how could he play this week?
Who knows? The recovery. Do we know if he actually had a concussion or if he was in protocol?
They said it was a well, okay. They said it was concussion protocol. I thought generally you're not supposed to play the next week after a concussion, but I don't know. Maybe it wasn't severe, or maybe he thought it was concussion. I don't know. But
yeah, who knows?
It's weird though. Like this Texas team still just feels something very wrong with this Texas team. Again, they got a lot more to get through here. They're gonna have to get through Georgia and Texas A&M. I feel like they're gonna lose to at least one of them, possibly both. So we'll see.
Yep. We will see. All right, Robert. Thank you very much. Thank you all for listening to our Week 10 review. We will see you shortly in our Week 11 preview.